Welcome to an episode of r/slash Entitled Parents, where we share stories of moms or dads thinking that because they have kids, they are entitled to everything. Kick back and enjoy what we're about to share with you, and at the end, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, on to the stories. And this story is posted by u/Jacker30. Entitled family thinks they own the entire beach. Hi guys. This isn't my story, but a family friend of mine, and after she told me this story, I knew it belonged on here. I'm going to make this a two-parter since this first part is actually kind of long. Quick backstory. My family, who aren't involved in this story, and family friends own beach houses in Little Bay area that eventually leads out to the ocean. There are several small piers within the boardwalk area where families can swim and jump off the piers. They have netting surrounding the pier to indicate how far families can swim. Beyond the netting, that's where boats, kayaks, etc. can run. Unfortunately, on these piers, there have been some entitled people believing they own some of these piers because their beach house is right there behind it. I will admit, our family has had our beach house for over a century, passed down through several generations. Even though we have to walk down the street to get to this pier, I think if anybody deserves that pier, it should be us, LOL. Anyways, on to the cast of our story. FF is family friend, N is family friend's neighbor, EM is Butch, EK is spawn of Butch, ND is neighbor's daughter. The first part of the story happened to N, who eventually told FF what happened. After swimming hours are over at the pier, families like to go there to catch crabs. Only crabs that measure within a certain height can be kept. Because of the whole thing with social distancing, N and ND went to try to find a good spot away from other families so they could crab. They actually got a really good spot at the end of the pier, away from everybody else, and they set up their things there. They were only planning on catching a few crabs and then heading out. It was only a few minutes into their crabbing when the 15 to 16-year-old EK came marching right up on N and ND. EK, hey, you're in my spot. N looked around, trying to find anything to show that the kid's spot was taken. Nets, cages, buckets, etc. There wasn't any. They were the only ones there. Everybody else was on the other side of the pier. N, I'm sorry, but there's nothing here to show that this is your spot. EK, you need to leave now. This is my spot. N, kid, this is public property. Nothing here is yours. We're only going to catch a few crabs and then leave. Please be patient. EK continued to whine to N for a couple minutes before finally leaving. N couldn't believe how immature this kid was acting. Her daughter was only 10 and acting more mature than him. Not even a few minutes later, EK came back, and who does he come with? EM, who was a full-on Karen. The blonde, let me speak to your manager, hair, the sunglasses, long nails, etc. She went right on over to N and did that throat clearing nobody likes. EM, excuse me, I heard you two make fun of my son and won't let him have his spot back. N, we never insulted him, and there was nothing here to show that this is his spot. We're only here to catch a few crabs and then we'll head out. EM, no, you need to leave his spot now. N, lady, we're not going anywhere. EM, pointing to a house. You see that? That's our house right there. My son has claimed the spot on the pier as his own. You must obey that or I will tell the authorities. N, there is nothing marked on this pier that states this spot is your son's. This pier and this entire beach and boardwalk is public property. I myself can call the authorities on you for disturbing us. It looked like N had finally put EM and EK in a corner. Just then, ND, completely oblivious to the argument and focused on crabbing, pulls out a small crab from her net and shows it to N. Before they could say anything though, EM quickly butts in. EM, give us that crab you just caught. It will make up for all the trouble that we caused. N, it's too small to be kept. EM, who told you that? N, it's an actual law here. EM, there's nothing here to prove that. N pointing to a sign that was on a pole directly behind them explaining the rules of catching crabs. N, if you own this pier like you claim you do, you would have known that. EM didn't say anything, but tried to snatch the small crab out of ND's net. ND started shaking the net over the water, hoping the crab would let go. Thankfully, Before EM got to her, the small crab let go and plopped back into the water. EM let out an ungodly howl at the sight, as if she just watched her precious EK get attacked by a shark or something. Finally, she grabbed EK and stormed away from them. N and ND didn't stay too long after that and didn't catch any crabs. They both just wanted to get the hell out of there after that. That's the end of part 1. Part 2 involves FF, and the EM and her family are the reason a new law was created for the beach. Stay tuned. And this story is posted by u/Jacker30. Entitled Family Think They Own the Beach, Part 2. Town makes new law because of EM. Hey yo, here's Part 2. So quick backstory for those who didn't read Part 1, which I highly suggest you read. My family and FF, family friend, own beach houses in a small beach town, and there are some entitled people thinking they own the beach down there. In Part 1, FF's neighbor, N, and her 10-year-old daughter, ND, got involved with EK, 15 to 16 male, and EM after EK claims that N and ND took his spot while crabbing. N was able to back them into a corner, and they finally left her and her daughter alone. On to Part 2. Here's the cast. FF is family friend, EM, entitled Butch, EK, spawn of Butch. He doesn't say anything in this story this time, though, but he still does stuff. O, officer. So FF took her family down, her husband, mother, children, and grandchildren, down to the same pier as Part 1 so that they could go swimming. Because FF's mom was elderly, both FF and her mom decided to stay under the pavilion in the shade while watching everybody else swim. At first, everything was going good, and it looked like everybody was having a good time. Then, EM and her family of 20 plus people gathering inside the small pavilion, setting up food, tables, and chairs directly behind FF and her mother. They couldn't even move or get out because of how close they were and how crowded everything was. FF could tell this was the person N mentioned before because of the way N described her. FF still tried to be civil, and when she saw EM, she tried to ask her nicely to move. FF, hi, would you mind moving your party over a little bit? My mom and I barely have any space to move. EM, excuse me? We happen to live here, so we can do what we want. FF, this pavilion doesn't belong to anybody. It's public property. EM, whatever. We're still not going anywhere. FF isn't a fan of arguing, so she and her mom just tried sucking it up and continued to watch their kids and grandkids play in the water. Unfortunately, that was short-lived as EM's family started blasting music and yelling inside of the pavilion. Then, EK came along in a jet ski. The entire family saw him and began cheering, screaming his name, etc. EK came extremely close to the netting on the other side of the dock and began doing figure eights on his jet ski, splashing water on other swimmers nearby and creating huge waves. Depending on the time of day high tide and low tide are, the water at the other end of the dock could get very deep, and any young kid at that end could probably struggle swimming down there. Luckily, FF told us that everybody at that end of the dock quickly got out when EK started doing this, and her kids and grandkids weren't that deep in the water, so everybody was fine. After a few minutes, EK finally left and everybody went back into the water, but EM's family still hasn't calmed down. Finally, FF and other beachgoers saw the flashing lights of a police car pull up to the beach area. Everybody smiled as they knew EM and her family were going to get in trouble. EM and her family saw the police car and attempted to ignore it, but suddenly grew quieter. The officer got out of the car and approached EM. Oh, hello, ma'am. May I have a word with you? EM, all innocent like. What's wrong, officer? Oh, I have been receiving numerous complaints throughout the past half hour in regards to your party causing a disturbance. EM, what? We haven't been doing anything. FF, officer, they've been yelling and screaming the entire time they've been here, blasting music, and somebody from their family came by on a jet ski extremely close to the dock and started showing off. EM, mind your own darn business. FF, how can I when I'm less than a foot away from you and you won't move? Oh, all right. Here's how this is going to work out. To EM, You can either move your family outside of the pavilion so that people can have room to sit, or you can leave the beach altogether. EM, you can't do that. We have a beach house right over there. Oh, then you can either move your party over there or move your party outside of the pavilion. EM, this is unacceptable. You can't do this to us. What is your name? I'll make sure to write a report about you. O gives his name and badge number. EM, all right then, I will call your station and make sure you get fired. O, the station is well aware of everything going on right now, ma'am, and if you fail to comply, we will have you fined and removed from the premises, whether your house is right here or not. EM was having none of this, so instead of leaving like any other person would do, she grabbed a sandwich from one of the bags she brought and threw it right at the officer. The officer, without hesitation, grabbed her and cuffed her. The other members of her family were growing mad at the officer for arresting her, but they didn't fight back. Oh, this is your last warning, ma'am. Either take your party elsewhere or I will bring you back to the station. You're very lucky I'm not putting you in my police car right now. EM finally cooperated and was released. She didn't go completely free, however, as her and all of her adults in her family were fined. She was fined the heaviest, though, for also assaulting the officer. The family grumpily grabbed their stuff and left. The officer didn't leave until he knew they were gone. A couple of days later, some new rules were put in place that no partying of any kind would be allowed on the beach because of EM. A patrol officer has also been sent to inspect the pier every once in a while each day to make sure that EM and her family weren't doing this again. And so far, since FF, her family and my family have been down there, they haven't. But they're still extremely loud and blasting music on the beach and inside their house. That's my Entitled Parents story. Hope you guys enjoyed. Update. Thanks for all the love on this story. I just thought I'd clear some things up real quick. Yes, the beach town I stay at mainly consists of white conservative people. There are a few POC that either live or stay around here, but their beach houses are near other piers, so we hardly see them. And I've also gotten some comments in regards to it actually being a law. I just had a conversation with FF, and she told me that it wasn't necessarily a law like she had originally worded it. It was more like a new set of rules for the beach. Because of this, so I don't confuse or mislead anybody, I'll change the title of this part if I can. Thanks again, and hope you all are having a great day. Thank you all for listening, as that was two fantastic stories that I enjoyed sharing with you. In the comment section below, let us know what you enjoyed most about those stories and why. Also, don't forget to like as well, and make sure, if you have not already done so, to subscribe to the YouTube channel of TNA Top Notch Audio. Have yourselves a fantastic day.